Hey, beautiful people, back again. A little later than I thought, but that's how life goes sometimes. And I want to talk to you today about what happens when life hands you lemons. And you've probably been handed a few along the way, right? But before I do, I want to pause to thank you for being with me as I meet my goal, drum roll please, of 31 days of going live, both on LinkedIn and YouTube simultaneously, and what that's looked like and lessons learned from that. And here I am celebrating on day 31. That's why I wanted to be earlier in the day. But hey, I got not a lemon exactly, but a little sidetrack. So let's talk about how when life hands you lemons, it's really problems, challenges, right? And how your problems are your gift. Now, that might sound a little strange right now, kind of like, yeah, right, Tina, we'll try mine on for size and see how gifty that feels to you. But here's what it can look like when the challenges cross your path. So it can look like confusion. It can look like something that is disheartening. It can look like something that stops you in your tracks. And I don't usually talk about things like this, but I'm going to be, again, overused word, but transparent, just really just that, because I'm a super healthy person. I never get sick, except for this last year. And so in the space of a year, starting from last September to tomorrow, coming up to September, I had COVID twice, not once, but twice, and only 7 weeks apart. And actually on the first one, I had a rebound with the medication, and I had symptoms again within 6 days. Then I got it again about 7 weeks later on my birthday, and then went along and got sick again after I finally went out in public and went to an event and didn't test, but people all around me had COVID, and I was thinking could be it again, but I kind of don't want to know right now. And then my husband got human metapneumovirus. It put him in the hospital for 5 days. Try saying that 3 times fast. And I got it also, and it was worse than COVID. And I battled with that for 2 months, starting on Mother's Day. My husband went to the hospital on Mother's Day for 5 days on oxygen. He's fine now, but it was really bad. And that means I went all the way into July, still being symptomatic, getting chest x-rays, nothing you can do for it except wait it out, the whole bit, right? So what does that feel like? What is it like when you get knocked so far off track and you have to keep going? You keep working, you keep serving your clients, you keep showing up, even when it's really, really hard. And so some of the things that happened for me, along with some brain fog, was I experienced not listening to the right sources, not taking, I'm going to use the word advice, guidance from some sources that really weren't the ones I should be listening to. And I kind of chalk this up to the brain foggy aspect of it, and increased stress from feeling like I'm really off track. I can't focus. I'm not concentrating. I'm not having my usual level of creativity. And it reminded me of the story of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, who we just about all remember, right? And the legacy lives on. In the mid 80s, I don't know if you realize this, but he got ousted by Apple. Out the door, buddy. We don't need you anymore. So that was thing one for him. So then he started a company called Next Incorporated that was a computer platform, a development company. That didn't do well. That was not successful, but he didn't give up. And so he purchased a little animation company you might have heard of, because it became Pixar. And Pixar then was purchased by Disney for $7.4 billion. And of course, along the way, he launched the iMac, the iPad, the iPhone, everything, the watch. Well, he didn't launch the watch, but all the other things that led up to the watch. And we all know what that is, right? So just like having to navigate difficult terrain like that, you can come back from that. These are things to keep in mind if you're moving along and you have that life just handed you some lemons, maybe a whole freaking bowl of lemons. And what we say when life hands you lemons, you go ahead, say it out loud. I'm waiting. Yeah, right. You make lemonade. But the only way you're going to make the lemonade, it's not going to happen by you just sitting and looking at the lemon. It's not going to happen by you looking at the lemons and saying, wow, I wish I didn't have quite so many of those lemons, but I do have a lot, and maybe I could do something with them. If I just keep sitting here staring at them, maybe something will happen. No, you're going to have to squeeze them. You're going to have to put some effort into it. You're going to have to intentionally create something from the lemons. just like I've had to do, just like Steve Jobs had to do. And it really can be a pathway to something even better. And so this is my bottom line message for you today, because when we look at what we've been through, when we take a look back, because I only recently actually kind of looked over my shoulder and said, oh, honestly, I really had not looked that closely at what that journey's been like for me this past year. And so when I started looking at it, I realized a number of things, and that there were lessons all along the way, but I had to be open to seeing them. I had to be open to receiving them. And sometimes, even when we've been in business a very long time, like I have 19 years and have tons of success, I have 6-figure copywriting projects. I help people become multimillionaires. I have multiple coaching programs. I teach people how to write funnel copy. We're introducing ChatGPT into the mix and what that spiritual connection is. I have a Divine Money School program. I do VIP days. There's so many ways that I work with people and change lives, bring transformation. It's not about how many modules, how many workbooks. It's about the transformation, the life transformation that happens for them. And through that, I have a transformation as well. I transform with them in various ways in my life. And so really understanding that that's been the majority of the journey, but there are these spots along the way, especially if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you have your own business. There's no one standing there ready to drag you up by your bootstraps or bail you out or give you a lecture or sit you down or give you a warning or any of those things. And so same as me and Steve Jobs in that sense, traveling that journey that sometimes can feel confusing, lonely, all of those things. And so when we squeeze that lemonade out, some of the lessons, the first thing is just give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace instead of beating yourself up. This is where you need to think differently about whatever that experience has been and see where are the lessons in it. Look for the lessons, look for the light, because everything has two sides of a coin, two sides of a pancake, two sides of a battery, positive and negative. That polarizing aspect is in everything. And so even in the darkest times, the most confusing times, if we will open ourselves to looking for it, we can find the light. And that light, that little doorway opening with that little light coming through of come this way, come this way. And if you just continue to move forward, even when you don't feel like it sometimes, that you take that next step. Give yourself grace, but also take responsibility. Take responsibility for changing the story you might be telling yourself, for where there might be places along the way where you're beating yourself up, or you're thinking, someone has led you astray, someone gave you the wrong advice. Take responsibility for making decisions along the way that might have led you onto a little bit of a side trail for a few minutes, kind of a thing, and just learn from that and ask that source of wisdom in you, that ancestral intelligence that nobody else can give you. Ask that source, what would you have me learn from this? What am I meant to do with this? And I've come to see this as almost like a clearing of the deck, the clearing away of fog, the clarity coming through of this. Back on track, Tina. This is where you're meant to be. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And you are still doing it. And now you're free to go even more expansively with what you're doing, with that divine assignment that is meant for me, just like you have one that's meant for you. And just like Steve Jobs had one that was meant for him. And so the third part of that is your mindset shift has to be that you are willing to take a look and not allow yourself to wallow around in the negativity, that luxury of resentments or self-flagellation or whatever it might be, that you're actually going to shift your attention to something else and know that the thoughts you have, the feelings you have about being off track or having these challenges is kind of like the weather. We've had some crazy weather lately all over the place. We had a big storm here in Arizona last night. But it clears away, and today it's a beautiful day. The sun's out, the sky is blue, and just like it is in so many other parts of the world, after the storm passes, that blue sky and sunshine is still there for you, behind the temporary tribulation, as I call it, of the bad weather, the storm. Even when it seems very devastating at the time and can literally be devastation, that there's something behind that you can go on, you can keep going. And finally, reboot. Recalibrate, get back on track, because that's how you turn those lemons into lemonade. And you know what Steve Jobs did with his lemons? He turned them into apples. I love that. I gotta say, I just love that. So you can do the same. You can do the same. Take that something that's sour and bitter and turn it into something delicious, nutritious, memorable, all of those things. So again, I wanted to spend just another minute on setting these goals for yourself. How are they meaningful? What did it mean for me to go live for 31 days in a row? I'm still going to show up live. I'm going to do it probably several times a week, but I wanted to get back on track. This was part of my getting back on track, of showing up, of not sitting quietly, but really saying, this is what I do. This is the brilliance I can bring to you. This is how I can help you. And I hope that that is something that's come through in these videos. And that's why I made a 31-day commitment to myself. And look, I didn't get here at the time of day I wanted to today. There were several days, many days actually like that. There were days I really just felt like, oh my gosh, why did I make this commitment? There were days where I thought, what can I talk about today? What will I say today? Or what will I say tomorrow? And just trusting in the process and making that commitment to myself as well as to you, but really first to myself, to not disappoint myself and to honor the thing that I said I would do, to honor it for those that are watching these and writing to me and saying how much that's helped them. And when you can make a commitment just to one thing, just that one thing of I will show up. And in this form, this is what I'm going to do for the next 31 days. I'm going to show up. Am I relieved that I got through it? Yes, but there were times along the way I thought, I can't mess this up now. I can't not show up for one day and think maybe no one will notice. I'll notice, okay? And I made a promise, and I keep my promises. I keep my commitments. I show up for those I serve, and hopefully you do as well. So that's why I did it. I'm looking forward to taking a few days off from it, and kind of regaining some of my voice again, and just kind of refreshing my thinking, and just kind of, just let that creativity come in, do something else for a while. But, I'm going to be here for you, and I'm always here for you. You can find me very easily. I'm here to serve you and to help you. And if there's any way I can do that, absolutely let me know, because I would love to have a conversation with you. I hope that, and there I say, hey, using the word hope again, and we talk about don't depend on hope marketing, but yet on the other hand, we need hope. We need that thing to look forward to. We need to see the pathway opening before us. We need to have faith and hope in the future, and then take the action steps that make that become true for you. That's what I've got. So I'll be talking to you again soon. I think I'm going to say not tomorrow, though, this time. And again, I really appreciate that you've been with me on this journey. And I will talk to you again soon. Have a great weekend, especially if you're in the US. It's a holiday weekend coming up. But for all of you, have a beautiful rest of your day. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.